I thought my husband was just buying some Secret Santa gifts until I saw how much effort he put in for another woman, and all while I had to buy my own birthday present. My 30F husband, 32M, has always been a great gift giver, but in the past few years, he has not nearly put in as much effort. We've been together 10 years. One birthday, he gave me custom engraved necklaces of our dogs, and I loved it. This year for my birthday, he asked what I wanted, which I hate, but I ended up picking out my own bag and ordered it myself. Now on to the part that makes me upset. At his job, he works with all women, and he is their boss. They are doing Secret Santa for Christmas, and he got matched with a girl who loves to read and is into fantasy genres like dragons and magic. He bought her probably 7 different dragon-themed little gifts and trinkets, tapestry, glass dragon egg, a little journal, etc. None of them were super expensive, so if that was all it was, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. But he also crafted a hand-made a mosaic of a bunch of different dragons that he stenciled on from images he found online. It looks great, and he's super talented with things like that, but I can't help but be jealous and think, why can't he do something like that for me? He spent hours on it and worked on it every night for a week. One of the gifts arrived in the mail yesterday, and I said, "Is this another gift for her?" He said yes, so I said, "I feel like you're going over the top, and it's a little unfair. I had to pick my own gift for my birthday when you did all this for her." He replied, saying everyone goes over the top for the gift exchanges, and it's not that deep. And that was the end of it. Also, I think part of it is he feels like it's a competition on who gives the best gift, because at previous exchanges, there has been a clear winner who gave the best gift. He seems standoffish and short with me ever since we've had the conversation. Am I the asshole for brining it up? Update 1. So after we had that talk, I tried not to dwell on it, but honestly, it felt kind of weird between us. Like, you know when you can just feel someone is annoyed at you, but they don't actually say anything? That's how it was. He wasn't outright rude or anything, but he just seemed short. Every time I brought up anything related to gifts, his answers were super basic. Like, I asked him what he wanted for Christmas, and he just said, "I don't know, whatever." Usually, he'd at least joke around about wanting something ridiculous, like a personal pizza oven or a kayak, but this time, nothing. Anyway, I tried to put it out of my mind and just let him do his thing. But then more packages started showing up, all dragon-themed. There was a box with some kind of dragon statue, another with a dragon-embroidered throw pillow, and then this tiny leather journal with a dragon embossed on the cover. It wasn't like these were super expensive things, but it was just a lot. Every time a package came, I kept thinking, okay, this has to be the last one. But nope, more kept coming. The part that really got me, though, was the mosaic. He's been working on it every night, and while I'm not the kind of person to hover, I started noticing that he'd always close the door when he was working on it. Now, this isn't super unusual for him. He likes his space when he's doing art projects or working on anything creative, but normally, if I popped in to ask him something or see how it was going, he'd let me take a peek. This time, he wouldn't let me see anything. I'd joke like, what, is it some secret dragon masterpiece? And he'd just laugh it off, but it felt different. One night, I decided to casually ask about it again. I was like, "You're putting so much effort into this gift. Are you sure it's just a Secret Santa thing?" He gave me this look, like I had just asked the dumbest question in the world, and said, "Yeah, it's just a work thing. Everyone goes all out. It's no big deal." But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was a big deal. I mean, he was spending hours on this thing. And I know he's competitive, but this felt like more than just wanting to win at Secret Santa. Fast forward to last weekend. I went out with a couple of friends for lunch, and when I got back, I noticed his workshop door was wide open. He wasn't home, which was odd because usually he doesn't leave his projects out like that. I know I probably shouldn't have, but I peeked inside. And honestly, I was kind of blown away. The mosaic was almost done, and it looked incredible. It wasn't just a random collection of dragon images. He had created this whole scene of dragons flying over mountains, with little details like clouds and fire, and even tiny scales on their wings. It was stunning, and that just made me feel even worse. Like, I know I shouldn't compare, but how could I not? He had spent days on this, pouring so much thought and creativity into every detail, and meanwhile, my birthday gift was something I basically bought for myself. I ended up sitting there staring at it, trying to convince myself I wasn't being ungrateful or overdramatic. But the thing is, I don't even care about the cost of gifts. It's the thought behind them. And this? This was loaded with thought. When he got back, I casually asked how his day went, trying not to let on that I'd seen the mosaic. He said he'd been out running errands and then quickly went into his workshop, closing the door behind him. That night, when he came to bed, I couldn't help myself. I brought it up again. I said, "You've really put so much into this gift. Are you sure it's just a Secret Santa thing?" This time he got kind of defensive. He said, "Why does it matter? It's just a fun project. I like doing it." I told him I wasn't trying to start anything, but it felt a little weird that he'd go all out for someone at work when I didn't get that same effort for my birthday. He sighed and said, "It's different. This is a group thing, and it's more about the fun of it." And I didn't push it, but honestly, it didn't sit right with me. I started thinking about how he had been acting lately. Like, he's not secretive, but the way he's been with this project felt off. I wondered if maybe he was trying to impress this coworker. Not in a he's cheating way, but in a way that made me question why he was putting this much effort into something for her. Then came the kicker. A few days later, I saw an email notification pop up on his iPad while it was sitting on the couch. It was from some craft supply store, thanking him for his recent purchase. Normally, I wouldn't even notice, but the subject line said something about custom engraving. My stomach dropped. I didn't open the email, but now I can't stop wondering, was this another part of the gift? And if it was, why was he going this far? Update 2. A couple of days after that email situation, I decided to just let it go. Or at least, I tried to let it go. I kept telling myself that I was making it into a bigger deal than it was. I mean, maybe he really does just like making cool gifts. But then, more little things started adding up, and it got harder to ignore. For one, he's been spending a lot of time texting lately. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him glued to his phone this much before. It's not like he's hiding it. He doesn't lock his screen or act suspicious. But I couldn't help noticing that it always seemed to happen when he was in his workshop. Every now and then, I'd hear his phone buzz, and he'd immediately stop whatever he was doing to respond. One night, I asked him, "Who are you texting so much?" He looked up and said, "Oh, just the Secret Santa group chat. We're coordinating stuff." That seemed fine at first, but then I realized something. If it's a Secret Santa, why would everyone be chatting about it? Wouldn't that ruin the whole point? That thought stuck with me, so later that night, when he left his phone charging on the kitchen counter, I decided to, okay, fine, I snooped. Not my proudest moment, but I had to know if I was being paranoid. I didn't go digging deep or anything, just opened up his recent texts. And there it was, a conversation with a coworker named Emily. And I didn't have time to read through everything, but what I saw made my stomach twist. Most of it was about the gift, like her saying how much she loved dragons, and him replying with ideas about what he could make. But then I scrolled up a bit more, and there was this one message from her that said, "You're seriously the sweetest. I can't believe you're putting so much thought into this." And his reply? "You deserve it. I want it to be perfect." I put the phone back and tried to act normal, but inside I was spiraling. I mean, you deserve it? What does that even mean? Why does she deserve it more than me? And yeah, maybe it's just a nice thing to say, but it felt way too personal for a Secret Santa exchange. The next day, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him straight up, "Look, I've been feeling weird about this whole gift situation. It seems like you're putting so much effort into this, and it's starting to feel personal. Is there something going on with Emily?" He immediately got defensive. He said, "What? No, she's just a coworker. I'm trying to make a good gift because it's fun, and I like doing it. Why are you making this into something it's not?" I told him about how it hurt to see him put so much time and effort into this when my birthday gift was so underwhelming. I said, "It feels like you're more excited about making her happy than you are about making me happy." And that's when he hit me with, "You're overthinking this. It's not like I didn't get you anything. You told me what you wanted, and I got it. Isn't that enough?" Honestly, that stung. I didn't know what to say, so I just dropped it. But after that, the tension between us got worse. He started spending even more time in his workshop, and now he's locking the door. He's never done that before, and it just feels shady. Then last night, something happened that I can't shake. He left his work bag on the couch, and when I went to move it, I noticed there was a small box inside. I wasn't going to open it, but the lid was loose, so I peeked. Inside was this gorgeous dragon pendant necklace. It looked custom-made with little jewels embedded in the wings. It was stunning. At first, I thought maybe it was part of the Secret Santa gift, but then I remembered the engraving email. I took a closer look, and sure enough, there was a tiny engraving on the back. It said, "For Emily." I don't even know how to process that. It's not just a Secret Santa gift at this point. Who engraves something like that for a coworker? And I haven't confronted him yet because I'm honestly scared of what he'll say. Part of me wants to believe it's innocent, but another part of me feels like this is way too much effort for just a coworker. Update 3. I couldn't let it sit any longer. After finding that necklace, I felt like I was on the edge of losing it. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but how could I not? Engraving someone's name on a necklace isn't just going all out for Secret Santa. It's something else entirely. I spent the whole day going back and forth in my head about what to do. That night, after dinner, I decided to confront him. I didn't want to come in hot, so I tried to keep my tone calm. I said, "I was moving your work bag earlier, and I noticed a necklace inside. Is that part of the Secret Santa gift for Emily?" He froze. Like actual deer in the headlights frozen. It only lasted a second, but it was enough for me to know something was up. He tried to play it off, saying, "Yeah, it's part of the gift. I thought it would be a nice touch since she's into fantasy stuff." I couldn't stop myself. I asked, "And the engraving? Why does it say, 'For Emily'?" His face turned red and he got defensive again. "It's just a thoughtful detail. Everyone's putting effort into their gifts, and I didn't want mine to feel generic." At that point, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him everything, how I'd been feeling ever since he started working on this, how hurt I was that he'd put so much effort into her gift when I had to pick out my own birthday present, and how the engraving felt way too personal. I said, "If this is really just about Secret Santa, why does it feel like you're trying to impress her?" He sighed and said, "You're reading too much into this. I'm just trying to make it special. It's nothing more than that." But the way he said it didn't convince me at all. The next day, I decided to get some clarity on my own. I texted one of his coworkers who I'm friendly with. Let's call her Sarah. I asked her if the Secret Santa gifts were supposed to be this elaborate. She replied, "Not really. Most people just buy something small. Last year, the fanciest gift was a $30 candle set." That was the confirmation I needed. I asked Sarah who had my husband as their Secret Santa, pretending I was curious about what kind of gift he might get. She told me she didn't know, but she casually mentioned that Emily had been raving about how lucky she was to have him as her Secret Santa because he just gets it. At this point, I was done playing nice. That night, I told him we needed to have a serious conversation. I said, "I talked to Sarah and she said the Secret Santa gifts aren't supposed to be a big deal. So why are you going all out for Emily?" His reaction was instant. He got mad, not yelling, but definitely defensive. He said, "Why are you asking my coworkers about this? You're making it into something it's not." I told him I wasn't trying to make it into anything, but his actions didn't match his words. I said, "If this is really just about a gift exchange, why does it feel like you're prioritizing her over me?" Then he dropped the bombshell. He admitted that he and Emily had been working closely on a project at work, and they'd gotten pretty friendly. He swore up and down that nothing inappropriate was going on, but he said he felt like she'd been having a tough time lately and wanted to cheer her up. I asked, "Why does cheering her up require engraved jewelry and a handmade mosaic? Why not put that energy into your own marriage instead?" He didn't have a good answer. He just kept saying, "It's not like that. I didn't mean to make you feel this way." I told him I needed space to think about everything, and he's been staying at his brother's place for the past couple of days. I'm torn because part of me believes that he didn't intend for this to be anything more than a thoughtful gesture. But the other part of me feels like this goes way beyond what's appropriate for a coworker, and I can't shake the feeling that there's more to it than he's letting on. I haven't decided what to do yet, but I know one thing for sure. I can't keep brushing this off. Whether it's emotional or not, it feels like a betrayal. And now I have to figure out if this is something I can move past or if it's the beginning of the end.